Hey everybody! In this video today, I will be telling you all about 5 more Backrooms levels that you literally cannot survive or escape, unless you get stupidly lucky, or unless you watch all of my videos on how to survive them. These levels have deadly effects, creatures that lurk in the shadows that would like to consume your blood, and they have environments that are not fit to host humans. And as such, they don't really have exits that you can find or use. So I don't think anyone watching this video could survive any of the Backrooms levels I'm talking about today. If you want to see part 1 of this series, check the link below. Thank you for 1,000,000 views on that, by the way. I can finally afford to pay all my child support for every kid I put in the Backrooms. But anyways, without further talking, let's go ahead and get into this video, and let's see just how dangerous the Backrooms can get. Leave a like for more long videos, please, and thank you. Enjoy! Level -182 has been given a class undetermined difficulty rating due to all the weird stuff I just mentioned. There's undocumented entities, there's unknown information, and it's overall just a very strange place. The entire expanse of the level takes place inside of a seemingly young girl's bedroom. The time of day in this level is always right after dusk, so it's just now getting dark outside, which means you can't really see anything. Beyond the small room that the level takes place in, there are a few hallways that branch off to various locations, which you can't really go to, and I'll explain that later. The bedroom is known to have a few specific pieces of furniture that have been logged. Those are a dresser, 2 nightstands, a closet, which you should never open. There's also a bed with a ton of plushies and pillows on it, and there's also a hamster cage, as well as an alarm clock. Other than what I just listed, there's really nothing else of actual importance to note here. It's just the typical teenage girl's bedroom. The air here is calm and cool, but also is very paranoia-inducing and anxiety-ridden. It's completely dark in here and you can't really see anything, so you don't really know what's watching you. And speaking of the darkness, no other outside source of light will work here. None at all. And there's only a few sources of light inside of the level that give any kind of help to you whatsoever. Those are the color-changing alarm clock I mentioned, then there's the purple light that shines from the hallway outside of the level, and then the third source of light is from the world beyond the window. So I'll explain all 3 of those light sources right now. The alarm clock that I mentioned changes colors depending on how long you're in there, and the clock always starts at 7:10 p.m. It runs until 7:16 p.m. and then it resets back to 7:10, and it does this over and over and over again in 6-minute cycles. Then there's that purple light I mentioned that ambiently glows from somewhere out in the hallway. The exact source of this purple light cannot be identified, but literally no one who has gone after it and searched for the source and walked into the hallway has made it back. So it's assumed that they all died. It's not known where they go, it's not known who takes them or what takes them, or if anything takes them, but there's some theories which I'll touch on later in the video. The third source of light and the final source is from the world beyond the window, the world outside. Now that light actually doesn't provide any helpful lighting whatsoever, it's just kind of this ambient glow from behind the blinds, and the window that you have to look out to see there is in fact likely some sort of entity or trap. It should never be approached, it should never be interacted with. For your own safety, keep the blinds closed and never open them. For those people that are brave enough or stupid enough to have done so, several different things have been claimed to be seen. Sightings of strange shadowy figures walking up to the glass and thumping on it, whispers and laughing have also been heard, and just general things like that that make noise. It seems like one specific creature or entity lives beyond this window, and it'll often scratch or claw or knock on it while you're in the level. These sounds are very discomforting, they're very paranoia-inducing, and they will fill anyone here with anxiety. And as fun as that sounds, there's still more awful stuff to get to. As I mentioned earlier, there is a bed here with a large pile of plushies on it, and inside of that pile of plushies, a journal has been located. Now this journal is Miranda's journal, who this level is named after, and it's a rainbow-colored wire-bound book that has several diary entries written by Miranda. Inside of it, there are pages dedicated to stress about high school, who Miranda's favorite teachers are, as well as other typical teenage girl stuff. But more importantly for this video, the journal also discusses several disturbing things that occurred to Miranda in this very room at nighttime. And this is where the level gets somehow stranger. It seems as if Miranda existed in reality, but her bedroom was melting and merging with the Backrooms. Miranda claims in her diary to see things outside of her window staring at her right through the glass, specifically at nighttime, just like how this level takes place. Now keep in mind, Miranda was seeing these things in real life. She was living her daily, regular old life, but at nighttime she'd come in her room and she would see these things staring at her from beyond the glass. Remember that alarm clock I talked about earlier too? Well, in her diary, Miranda says that the alarm clock will float around her room while she sleeps, and she's woken up several times to it glowing red. And it's even said her name at some other point. She also writes about her door mysteriously opening in the middle of the night and a purple ambient light shining into her room. She thought that it was her brothers trying to prank her, but when she confronted them the next day, they did not take credibility for it. In the journal entry number 5, she talks about how she keeps falling asleep in class because she literally cannot get any sleep at night because of the thing outside the window, the lights flickering from the alarm clock, and the weird purpleness coming from the hallway. And also she keeps mentioning something about some type of creature in her closet. She dreads sleeping. She cannot even think about it. She never gets any rest at night because of all these things. This is when we get to another journal entry, number 6, which says, quote, "I woke to it again. My nightlight was not plugged in. My closet door was wide open, and I swear there is a void in there. It was sitting on the foot of my bed. It was staring at me. I stared back at it. I stayed up the rest of the night to stare at it, and I stayed up until it vanished with the sunrise. I hate this room. It is getting closer." So as you can see, this Miranda chick was definitely seeing some weird stuff or experiencing some weird stuff. We don't know what it is yet. There's some theories on it. But what we do know, this was all happening in her real life, yet we're accessing it somehow through the Backrooms. After journal entry number 6 that I just read, each diary entry gets worse. It gets more disturbing. The less and less sleep she gets, the more she hears voices, the things beyond the window get more bold, and whatever it is comes back each night. Until finally, the last journal entry, journal log number 12, reads this: "If you are reading this, I surrendered. I saw the purple light. I went out. I had to." After that entry, what I just read, Miranda vanished from real life. There was no more journal entries, no more mention of her, nothing. And whatever happened after she walked out into the hallway from her room, no one knows. But what is known is that somehow that action forced her room to be a part of the Backrooms, and specifically the confines of her room to be the entire level. Miranda's room as a level has a time limit loop thing in which it's safe to exist inside. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's known as the 6-minute cycle. The first 6 minutes you're in the room will be pretty normal, pretty standard. You'll just be stuck in this dark room. But after that, things kind of go crazy. You'll begin to get paranoid, your anxiety will heighten, and you'll feel like you're being watched. After 6 more minutes passed, the window and whatever it is behind it will begin to approach it and tap and scratch at it, trying to get your attention. Do not open the blinds. After 6 more minutes beyond that, whatever's inside the closet in Miranda's room will begin to try to open the doors and break out of it. It's recommended that you tie the closet door shut at all costs. Next, the purple light will appear out in the hallway, and the door to Miranda's room will be stuck permanently open. If you somehow stay in the level through all of what I just said, which is crazy if you did, at this point, at the 6th 6-minute cycle, the purple light will go off in the hall. It'll disappear. And next, once this happens, you need to slam the door shut as hard as you can, or try to at least, and then exit the level before you get eaten or consumed or whatever. Because if you don't and you're still in the level as that next 6-minute cycle passes, it will break into the room and it will claim its victim. Theories on what it is range widely. Some people assume that it's Miranda. Some people think that it's some sort of demon or entity or something that somehow managed to get into reality but bring Miranda's room back to the Backrooms. Others think it's some kind of powerful religious presence or something. Whatever it is disturbing, and it strikes fear into the heart of every wanderer in the Backrooms that knows about it. We still are not sure sure how it and whatever's in the closet and whatever's beyond the window and whatever the alarm clock is, we don't know how all of that connects, but what we can assume is that it does, and that it's all up to no good. If you want to come to Miranda's room to say you've survived it, maybe it's a flex in the back rooms to survive this place, I don't know, it's too dangerous for me to go to, but if you want to go, you can no-clip into a dollhouse over on level 9, and you can exit the level by no-clipping through the closet door to be sent to level 6, but you have to do this when the closet door isn't shaking by whatever's inside of it. Miranda's room is one of the most unique and standalone levels in the back rooms. It's tiny and confined to just a small bedroom, but so much can happen in that small room. Was Miranda even real? Did she write that diary, or is it all that did it just to lure people closer? What's in the closet? What's behind the window? Why is the alarm clock floating? We just seriously don't know, but I can tell you what I do know, and then it's that you should never go here. Level 1.2 of the Backrooms is also known as the Concrete Garden, and it was discovered firstly way back in 2012 by a few explorers sent from Meg. Now the level itself has not been given a classification graphic yet, so I'm just gonna have to give it one myself, and I'm gonna give it a class 4E environmental rating because of how bad things can get if you are not careful when you visit this place. Now as we already know, level 1 is this concrete parking garage warehouse style building full of different colonies, different supplies, and yada yada yada. I've even gone over some of its sublevels before, but never this one. When level 1 was first explored, no one really thought there was natural life to it. It's just concrete with no sunlight, and that's it. But all of that changed when this sublevel was discovered back in 2012. The concrete garden appears to be the same layout and the overall vibe as most parts of level 1 do as well. There's hallways, there's rooms, there's corridors, there's concrete halls and everything like that. Nothing too crazy yet. The main and the only real difference to the actual layout is that instead of being kind of cramped and dark, these areas in level 1.2 are full of light, full of vegetation, and natural plants. The floor of the level is home to a thick carpet of grass with various forms of flowers and other plants sticking out from that. Now, this grass is thought to grow directly into the concrete below, which is pretty interesting. Alongside the walls and the pillars in this sublevel, there are huge vines that wrap around, and sometimes they even hang above you as a ceiling. Essentially, this small subsection of level 1 is overgrown with any kind of plant you can think about. And instead of being just dark and concrete like the normal level, this one has light poking through. Another thing of note for this sublevel is that there are absolutely no entities here. Like, none. Now, even the regular part of level 1 has some rare instances where creatures can be scurrying around, but not in this part. In fact, they actually seem to avoid this subsection like the plague. And if that's any indication of how bad it's gonna be, then you should also not come here. I mean, if smilers are not coming here, then you're probably not gonna survive either. But because of this lack of entities and the overall beauty and the appearance of this sublevel, many people try to come here and set up camp and colonies and stay here, none of whom have ever been seen alive again. And since this is the case, Meg has said that no one should ever try to come to this sublevel whatsoever in any way. Don't try to sleep here, don't try to walk here, don't even look over here. Just ignore it and watch this video if you're curious. If for some reason you decide to ignore that warning from me and the warning from Meg and you come here anyways, what you'll see and what you'll experience is as follows. You'll first, of course, see what I just described. Concrete hallways and open rooms full of overgrown vegetation. The further you walk into level 1.2, the more you'll see though. You'll begin to witness tons of flowers growing out of the concrete. Sunflowers are the most common ones here, but other plants like lilac and lavender and lilies can be seen as well. Entire rooms that are tufted so thick with flowers exist, and these bulbs of flowers are very smelly and they're very big. In fact, this entire sublevel smells like those flowers, and they also emit their pollen. And this right here, folks, is where the first bad part of this experience is going to begin. Essentially, from what I can gather, the pollen from the flowers acts as some sort of sedative and amnesic component to anyone who inhales it. Now, if you remember way back in my 5 Backrooms rules video that you've never heard of, I said as a rule, never smell flowers that you run into inside the Backrooms. And this level, my friends, essentially proves why that's the case. Because the pollen that comes comes from the flowers here in level 1.2, gives people who smell it memory loss, muscle relaxing effects, and other amnesic effects as well. So essentially, you'll just wander into this sublevel and you'll start walking around, and just by smelling the air here, you'll begin to get relaxed, your consciousness will start to fade, and the further and further you keep walking, the weaker and weaker each step will become. Everything you knew before the moment of walking in this sublevel will begin to drift away, and nothing else will matter. And just like the levels page itself says, everything progressively will fade into obscurity. And after an unknown amount of time of walking through these flower rooms and grass hallways, you'll begin to get so weak that you lose your consciousness. Now, once you lose your consciousness, one of two things can happen. The first is that you'll fall over and you'll give into the effects of this pollen, you'll pass out, and you'll just be laying on the grass on the floor of the level. If this happens, the level will begin to overtake you and consume you. It'll do this by having its grass, its vines, and its plants essentially wrap around you and drag you inside of them, turning you pretty much into grass yourself. Roots will begin to go inside of your body and sprout out flowers and grass, and you'll become one with the level. This level kind of acts like a spider's web. You know how when a bug gets into a spider web, it'll get stuck there, then the spider will inject it with poison, and it'll go limp? That's pretty much what happens here. Except the entire level is the net, and the pollen is the poison. But essentially, if you give into that pollen, and you smell it, and you get really close to those flowers, you'll just eventually fall over, lose your consciousness, and the level will absorb you, and you'll become one with the grass and plants. The other possible outcome you might experience is that someone will rescue you and drag you away before the grass can take roots inside of you. But that's probably not going to happen. Let's be real. Do not be fooled or tricked by this adorable, pretty, outside, safe-looking level, right? I mean, it's very beautiful to look at. It's flowers, there's sunlight, and everything like that. And people that are on level 1 are probably pretty new to the backroom, so they don't know what to expect. But do not be fooled by it. Do not smell the pollen. Do not get absorbed into the grass. Do not turn yourself into a plant, because if you do, your entire journey of exploring the backrooms will just last one entire level. Like, that's all you'll make, is just one level, from level 0 to level 1. Good job! There are no listed ways to find this sublevel, since you already have to be in level 1 to do so. I think you just have to walk around and find it eventually. But again, do not do that, because you don't want to go into the effects of the pollen from the plants here. And as far as exits from the sublevel, again, there are no listed exits. You'll just have to find your way back to a hallway that leads to the regular concrete of level 1, or you'll be consumed and poisoned by the pollen. This sublevel is very, very rare to encounter. It's not like you're going to go to level 1 and walk off and get stuck here. It's something that you only find if you've been lost and exploring the bowels of level 1 for way too long. You'll see these flowers and these plants and stuff as almost an oasis, and that's why you want to walk towards it. But again, after what I just said, you don't actually want to do that. It's a trap. And that's a pretty good metaphor for the entire backrooms. Usually these things are too good to be true, and it's just the backroom's twisted way of playing with you. But now that you've heard the explanation, you know why the entities don't live here and why they don't come here. It turns out that the creatures in the backrooms were finally right about something, and you should avoid it too. So the downrooms is also known as level redacted, and this has been a very confusing piece of the Backrooms lore for literally years, almost 4 years total. I covered level redacted way back 3 years ago on the channel, but I actually despise how that video is. It's horrible, the quality's awful, and I didn't even cover like half the lore. It's only 3 minutes long. So in this video, I'm going to be doing it again in a much better quality video, and I'll actually be including all of the lore this time of the downrooms. The downrooms are considered to be a sort of alternate universe of the backrooms, of level 0 as well. It's a place far more dangerous than 0 is, and it's full of many more oddities. As a whole, it is presumed to be an infinitely generating maze of yellow hallways, rooms, and ceilings that are full of corrupted and unstable surfaces and rooms. That's the main area of the downrooms. Then eventually the downrooms will scatter into an infinite number of sublayers that regenerate and create themselves automatically. You know how the backrooms is accessed from reality, like our Earth, by glitching out of our reality and into it? Well, the downrooms are pretty much the back rooms of the back rooms. Like, you have to glitch out of the back rooms reality to get here to the down rooms. I know that sounds crazy, but keep with me now. This level feels fundamentally wrong. It feels like you should not be able to explore it, much less be inside of it and be walking around. You thought the backrooms was as far as you could glitch out of reality until you got here. But beyond those yellow walls, like I mentioned, there are a multitude of sub-layers that give the down rooms its infamy. There are literally an infinite number of these sub-layers that can be generated, but I'll be explaining the common ones here. They all take the appearance and overall vibe of nostalgic, empty, liminal memories. And you'll find that most of these might seem familiar to you from when you were a child or from your younger years. It seems like the sublayers here are formed as a result of mangled and broken and fractured backrooms levels that kind of bent together and mashed up together and ended up here in the down rooms and turned themselves into one explorable hell. There are no structural rules or regulation, and logic does not exist in the down rooms. The whole thing feels like a fever dream to even be inside of. While on any number of these subspaces, you could find yourself lost, but then you just walk around the corner and you'll be found in a remembered place that you've been before. None of it has any reasoning, none of it makes sense, but that's what is good about the down rooms. So now that you know a little bit about what they are, let's go ahead and dive into some of those subspaces and let's just see how crazy it gets. As I mentioned, the main part, the beginning of the down rooms, is these infinite expanding hallways that are yellowish and beige colored with no wallpaper on them. These walls are notably barren of any designs, and they kind of just seem to be empty. They're made out of a drywall type material as well, and there's strange curved windowsills on the inside of these walls too. As I said earlier a bunch of times, this does resemble level 0, just kind of a lesser realized version. Strange warping sound and music notes can be heard while you're walking around in this area. And if you somehow get here, you will truly know that you will never escape. The feeling you get when you glitch into level 0 of the backrooms from reality, that kind of freaked out feeling, that horrifying anxiety, panic attack feeling, you get that here as well, but like times 50 of what you would get in the backrooms level 0. Because like I said, this is as if you glitched out of the backrooms reality and went even further down into them to get here to the downrooms. The new page of this level on the wiki, it does not have any of the sub-level lore listed, but since I'm an old head, I remember what the sub-levels used to be, and I remember what they used to show. So with the help of the Wayback Machine, my decaying brain, and good old Reddit, these are the 24 sub-levels that have so far been logged in the downrooms, and now I want to go over them. I'm not going to be talking about every single one of them, but I will talk about well over half of them. Sublevels 1 through 3 all look similar to those plain beige hallways that I've been talking about. Each of these different sublevels has varying difficulties and survivabilities, but they're generally considered to be some of the safest ones to explore. The hallways are barren and cold and lifeless. There's no entities here, there's nothing except you and the mangled remains of liminality. You'll find that most of these different sublayers cannot be purposefully explored because you kind of have to accidentally get to them. It's just a game of chance. Sub-Area 5 is located in a small, confined backyard playground area with a fence around it and a house in front of it. The playground looks like one you've been to as a child, very old looking, late 90s, early 2000s vibes, and it can be fully explored. However, you cannot jump over the fence in the backyard to explore what is beyond. Some kind of barrier keeps you in. If you go inside the house in this sub-level, you might notice that it looks familiar as well, maybe like a childhood home. From here on out, I'm going to stop saying sub-layer, I'm just going to say the number of them because it would be very annoying to hear it over and over again. 6 is an empty Target store from real life, and this area is known specifically for the dread and the anxiousness that it fills people with. Visions of some sort of entity have also been documented in 6, although we don't know what these entities are. They're probably not real, or if they are real, they probably want to eat you. But this Target store has no items on the shelves, it's just completely empty and barren. 7 is a small room with pinkish textured wallpaper. It seems to be some kind of attic space, perhaps. This level is actually safe, with no dangers. So if you find a pink area like this, you can kind of relax for a little bit and chill, and not having to worry about getting consumed by deconstructing liminal spaces. 11 is some sort of glitching pool rooms type area with strange staircases and slides and wormholes and gravitational pools. This sublevel is very unstable, and just you standing here gives you the chance of being ripped into pieces by the deconstructing level. Like I said, a lot of these levels are very glitchy, very unstable, because you're in the down rooms. What else can you expect? 15 is a beautiful, serene, and peaceful place, or so the website says. It then says, we all love it here. It's happy here. We all love it here so much. I'm not gonna trust that, so it's probably not safe. 17 is a faint memory of your own house on Christmas morning. There's an empty building that represents where you used to live, and there's lights and decorations and presents, and everything feels so nostalgic and real here. You'll get those really fuzzy, warm feelings that you used to get as a child around this time of year. And this place is also kind of safe, although it's again not recommended to stay in any of these for longer than you can. Sublevel 23 is completely redacted. There's no words, it's just blacked out. Cool. Appreciate that. And finally, 24 is a pitch black forest with 2 log cabins inside. If you enter any of these cabins, it is said that you will never leave. So don't do that unless you want to get trapped in sublevel 24 of the downrooms. As I said earlier, there are many more sublevels than those 24, since there is an infinite amount. But each of them usually appears to be specifically nostalgic and memorable in a weird way. It's almost like they're fragmented memories from your own mind that the downrooms has conjured up for you to explore through. These hallways, these playgrounds, these slides, these stores, these houses, they all feel in between perfection and death. And in the downrooms, you can explore them all, at your own risk, of course. Oftentimes in these rooms, cartoon figures from childhood, like SpongeBob or other icons or whatever, will appear and come alive and seem to be talking to you. Strange objects will become anthropomorphized and real, and you'll really just feel like you're tripping on something. You'll feel like you shouldn't be experiencing what you're experiencing, but you are. It feels like a dream, but you're there walking through it. There are no known confirmed entities that live in the downrooms. Like I said, some people have reported seeing things like strange shadowy things and subhumanoids walking around. Others have claimed to see lesser versions of humans kind of mangled and rearranged with big heads and arms and legs and strange proportions. Some people think that what people are seeing are humans that turn into these things after staying in the downrooms for too long. Like it mangles their physical geometry into being what these entities look like. Melted, horrible versions of what humans used to be. Who knows though? There's also a specific explorer that is known for charting some of these different sublayers, and if you're an OG and you saw my old video many years ago, you will remember him. Julio H. Charles. This guy seemingly has the ability to walk through these various subspaces without being torn apart or mangled like other people. And he can travel straight to the downrooms from the backrooms with ease. No one knows how he does it, no one really knows him as a person, but I assume that he's just a chill guy. If you want to enter the downrooms for some reason and explore your past liminality trauma, then you have to no-clip through the void level, which in and of itself is almost impossible. So if you do that, congrats. But like I said, essentially that means you have to no-clip out of the backrooms reality if that's even possible. And to exit, you can't. Coming here essentially is your death sentence. You're signing yourself into your own grave, but hey, at least you get to explore some pretty cool sub-levels before it happens. And maybe you get to get mangled by an entity or deconstructed from a glitch standpoint by the levels. Who knows? The downrooms is easily one of the worst nightmares of any person in the backrooms. The idea that these mangled, distorted, corrupted versions of backrooms levels exists is terrifying. It somehow takes what the backrooms is and what makes it scary and makes it even worse and more terrifying. It sounds horrible to me. I do love the aesthetic of the downrooms, the liminal kind of dreamscape energy tied in with the nostalgia of the spaces, but it's perfectly not perfect. And I hope you enjoyed it too. Level 484 of the Backrooms has been named the Whiteout, and it's been slapped with a Class 0 survival rating and is allegedly safe, but also uninhabitable. Not sure how that works, but whatever. The level's layout is described as a huge white-themed house that looks like it's been under constant renovation of sorts. There's tools and ladders and paint and things like that all over the different rooms and hallways. From a broad perspective, the house is pretty simple. level. It's just rooms like you'd see in a normal one from real life, but upon closer inspection, each of those rooms has small little unique characteristics that make them their own. You might run into kitchens or living rooms or bathrooms or hallways, things of that nature, and the level is also not infinite. That's an important note. It's known to have a specific amount of accessible areas, which I'll go over shortly. The main and most obvious thing inside the whiteout is that everything is white. And I don't just mean this dull white, I mean a bright white. It's blinding almost. I'll get into more of what the actual level is physically made of in a second. I just want to continue to talk about the layout first. The different areas throughout the whiteout are known to have temporal and spatial anomalies as a common thing. Objects are known to change locations, walls are known to glitch and teleport, and things are always phasing in and out of existence. Now, these spatial anomalies could be caused by one of two things. The first thing is just the typical backroom shenanigans, doing all that stuff that it always does. The backrooms is never normal, right? And the other thing is it might be controlled by an entity known as the Maker. I'll explain the Maker later, but that is the only creature that resides inside of the whiteout. The entire level feels sterile in a way. It feels cleaner than anything you've ever experienced. The surfaces here have literally not one single particle of dust on them. No dirt, no grime, nothing. It's almost as if they can't even get dirty. And in fact, the whiteout is indeed so white that prolonged exposure to it will damage your eyesight and damage your psyche if you're not careful. People have been known to go insane, lose their mind, and eyes have rolled over white if they stayed here too long. When the level was discovered a while back, it was explored several times, and it was determined that the entire place consists of 52 rooms, 21 hallways, and 5 staircases. Those measurements were taken way back in 2016, which has almost been 10 years ago. However, in 2021, the level was rediscovered again after it got lost in the great cosmos of the backrooms, and a new map recovered, and the old map was deemed incorrect. After another round of exploration, the level was set to have 77 total rooms, 35 hallways, and 9 staircases. Essentially, the level had doubled in size from 2016 to 2021. Because of this revelation, it is assumed now that the whiteout will continue to grow in size each year until eventually it'll just be too big to explore, or maybe infinite. The following quote from the whiteout's page kind of summarizes how exploring the level for the first time might be, including its dangers and how just hellish it is. Quote, "The first time entering the whiteout is quite unpleasant for most people. There are not many backrooms levels with such a high intensity of light. Long-term exposure to it may result in sleep deprivation and partial blinding at worst. However, this is rarely considered a problem for most people. It all depends on how your body adapts to the intense stream of light." End quote. So just like that quote says, if you do stay here, you have the chance of kind of not adapting to the light and eventually going blind, which in the backrooms, if you go blind, your sanity will continue to drop, and that's pretty bad. You don't want that to happen here. But at the same time, I guess there are worse fates in the backrooms than going blind. I don't know. But now that you know a little bit about the level, I want to dive into some specific types of rooms that the whiteout has, as well as explaining their physical makeup. Now, the structure of this level is heterogeneous, which means that it's incongruous, it doesn't add up, nothing makes sense. You could be walking down a hallway and the hallway just ends, or you could be walking up a staircase and right above you is a door and not an opening, things like that. Everything in this level is made out of some kind of smooth white quartz material. Now, it's not actually quartz, it just seems like it, but it almost feels soft when you touch it. As I said earlier, the material has no dirt, no grime, no dust, anything on it, and if it gets injured or cracked or broken in any way, it will slowly heal itself through an unknown means. Now, backrooms levels healing themselves is not that uncommon, but specifically here, how there's no dirt, no grime, that is uncommon. The backrooms is known to be a disgusting place. Now, sometimes when you're walking around the hallways or rooms here, you might run into pictures on the walls. These images usually display old, whited out cityscapes or strange family pictures with faces you can't recognize, and all of the images in these picture frames are white completely. Instead of being a black and white image, it's just the white parts. It's said that these images look ever so slightly familiar, but also foreign. And as a good rule of thumb, you just should not look at these images for too long. Every room in this level does look similar, but at the same time, none of them ever exactly repeat. The furniture in those rooms is indeed safe to interact with. You can sleep on the couches or sit in the chairs, and just in general, the level is only moderately deadly. It's only if you stay too long, don't get enough sleep, and start to lose your sanity when the whiteout can become a bad problem. Now, on top of what I just said, there are two more specific rooms inside this level that stand out from all the rest. Those are the sculpture rooms and the pale garden. So the sculpture rooms are ones that have anywhere from 1 to 4 sculptures inside of them. Unique name, I know, but the sculptures are usually placed on top of pedestals. The sculptures themselves are also vaguely human in design, but they oftentimes have weird things like extra hands and extra arms or extra eyes, too. Some people claim that the sculptures move when people aren't looking, and they reappear in different spots in different positions. This isn't confirmed, it's just a theory. The pale garden is the next type of room, and this is a pretty common one. In these pale garden rooms, you'll notice that they're huge. They are the biggest type of room here. They have high ceilings, and they're full of these giant pillars that hold up the entire place. There's so many pillars in these rooms that it gives a kind of a maze appearance. And usually in one corner of the rooms, there is a piano that is automatically playing calming music on its own. So essentially, this entire level is a multi-storied house with giant rooms that all have slightly different designs and spatial anomalies. It's pretty simple, right? You can get to these different rooms by going up and down the staircases here or by using the hallways, but there's still one thing that I haven't mentioned yet, and that entity is the one that lives here, the one that might control the whole thing, known as the Maker. The Maker is a very mysterious, enigmatic, and undocumented humanoid creature that seems to be supernatural. He's been seen walking around this level's rooms and hallways, but vanishing right after he turns a corner. Like, you could see him and then run towards him and he'll be gone. The face of the Maker is unique because, well, he has 5 of them. Wrapped all the way around his head are different faces. The entity has also been seen wearing a hat and a suit, as well as gloves, and of course, the entire entity is white. Some people claim that he is responsible for the creation and control of this entire level, and all the pictures and paintings on the wall and all the piano music and stuff, it's his doing. Maybe he's an artist, maybe he's a musician, we don't know. The Maker does not pose an outright threat to humans as of right now, but the level itself does, as I mentioned earlier. Falling asleep here could result in sleep paralysis, you could get blindness from the white light, and other forms of physical decay can happen if you stay for too long. The whiteout has stark beauty to it, even though it doesn't seem like it should. It's empty and designless, and there's no color, it's barren, but it feels perfect and beautiful. And this leads many people to wanting to try to stay here for extended periods of time, which could ultimately lead to their deaths from exposure to the light. Like I said at the beginning, this level's safe, but also it's uninhabitable. So I don't know what to tell you, just maybe don't go here. To enter the level, you can do so by finding a door on level 287 that has a very bright light coming from behind it, and to exit, you can find a dull door, a black door, that leads to the sister level of this level, the Blackout, which I've already explained. Link below if you want to go watch that. So yeah, that was the whiteouts. Now that you know all the bad things about it, if the Backrooms ever turns white, you know that you might die from too much white light in your eyes. So to start off, the level is not written in the typical way that most are. There's no classification graphic, there's no entity section or entrances or anything like that. Instead, it's written in a sort of story way. And in order for you to get the full experience of the level, I'm gonna go ahead and read this story just like it's written. But I'll do that after I summarize it right here really quickly for those of you who don't want to listen to a little short story. Level -999 of the Backrooms has been nicknamed the Tower of Babel, and the level's page begins with a Bible verse from Genesis talking about the Tower of Babel. Shocker. The level itself appears to be an infinitely stretched out white plain that seems to be salty or sandy with nothing else of note. This white, sandy expanse goes out in all directions for an unknown amount of time because most people don't stay here long enough to explore it. But from what you can see, it's infinite. You might notice a mountain range or two off in the distance, but usually the main focus is what you see right in front of you, a giant tower that reaches up to the sky. When you spawn inside of this expanse, you'll be a good distance away from the tower, kind of off in the middle of this white plain. And of course, that's the first thing you'll notice because it's a gigantic, inhumanly sized tower stretching to the sky, and that's the first thing you'll see. That's the first thing you want to walk towards. You're immediately drawn to this tower. It's like if you were a moth and there was a light on, you just want to go over, you're lured to it. And all you want to do is go to this tower and climb up its staircase and explore it. The tower itself appears to be made out of some kind of old world stone. It's engraved, it's carved, and it's in a weird kind of stalactite looking shape. It appears to be never ending in height, and it stretches up into the clouds above. You literally can't even see the top of it, even if you look straight above you. It's otherworldly, it's entrancing. It feels magical just to look at it. After you sit there and you stare at this tower for a little bit, something strange will begin to happen. You see, when you first get here, the sky and the entire level is bright, it's colorful, it's blue, the air is moderate, it's just kind of a vibey place. Yeah, sure, it's liminal and empty, but there's nothing really wrong with it. But as you walk closer to the tower, as your infatuation with looking and exploring inside the tower grows, the cracks in the facade of the level will start to grow, and things will begin to appear. Strange entities, and the sky will turn red, and the tower itself will begin to glow and beckon you to come closer to it. This is the Tower of Babel, and you are now in its clutches. But with that setup out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and quote the rest of this little short story that the level's written in. That way you can get the full immersive experience of what's going on, and here is what it has to say. Buckle up, this is gonna get crazy. I woke up from level 245. I have few memories about that place. I barely remember anything. My experience in the level I was prior to entering it, why I was even in the level, what the level even looked like. But I know one thing for certain. Whatever location that I am currently in now is not the same as the one where I fell asleep. This place is odd, to say the least. I may not know too much of that place, but I know for certain that it had kami blocks and cold weather. This place is barren and dry and without human structures in sight. Everywhere I look, I spot dead trees, endless desert, trail marks, white sand, and unusually overcast skies. After some time, I became overpowered by this overwhelming determination to stand up and move forward. Curiosity then followed suit, and the culmination of both resulted in me eventually standing up and pacing forward. I embarked on an adventure on a straight line with nothing to stop me. I continued to walk and walk and walk. I walked for 10 minutes now. The more I walk, the foggier my surroundings get. Weirdly enough, I cannot exhaust myself of energy from this intense walking, and this undying urge to keep walking only grows. As I continue to venture out further, I notice a distinct outline in the fog. It looks like a tall, never-ending tower. However, I can't really make any distinct shape out of it. There's only one way to reveal its true nature, though, and that's by moving forward. That's the Tower of Babel. I remember learning about this thing in my Bible studies back in the front rooms. Man constructed a megalopolis with a spire threatened to transpierce heaven itself. God, after seeing what he considered to be a monstrosity, jumbled up the languages and cultures of mankind so that they could never achieve what they had through unity again. God thought that this monstrous conglomeration was the limit of what we would achieve. As my mind starts to get back on its feet, many thoughts start to pop up in my head. What if God banished the city and tower to the backrooms, along with its laborers and residents? What happened to the city and tower, its residents and all that, after millennia of rotting in the backrooms? Are there even residents within the city anymore? Is there even a city? Is a heaven-piercing spectacle all that remains? Curiosity had gotten the best of me. To answer all these questions, I could once again just walk closer, as I still feel compelled to do so. It's been an hour and a half, and the more I walk in this biblical landscape, the more uncanny it gets. The dust obscures my vision more. Sound is becoming more distorted. The Tower of Babel silhouette contrasts from the background more, taking on a reddish hue, and my surroundings begin to glitch out. My determination to continue walking surges in me. It is the most motivated and driven I've been in a long time. As I continue walking, I find peculiar sights. I see expeditioners from various groups laying dead among their broken equipment. I feel as if many have tried to document this level and ultimately failed, and that it may be the end of the line for me soon. But even after 2 grueling hours, I continue walking. I notice that something is up with the Tower of Babel as I slowly approach it. I can now distinguish the structure's minor details, no longer just being a mere silhouette. As I take a closer look at it, I notice that the demented wrath of the Backrooms has taken over it. I look closely, and various parts of the conglomeration appear to be glitching out. Shortly after, I notice human beings appearing in the distance. It must be the inhabitants of the city that once was. They frantically frolic around, acting like animals. They mumble gibberish and perform unusual acts. They don't even look like humans. They resemble facelings more. It could be that they were once humans, which were corrupted into facelings by the lunatic nature of the Backrooms. I don't know. As I watch the obscene sights unfurl around me, I continue walking. I start to see buildings around me. They are devoid of life. I think the level itself wants me to go on an adventure, but now I feel it. The feeling that I have come farther than many. The devolved facelings also are not disrupting my path. In fact, I almost feel welcomed here. I stare at the glory of the tower. At its base, a massive door awaits, sealed as my fate to pass through such a gate. My dedication to continue walking reaches its peak, and even if the situation feels bleak, I have one more clear mission for today. I must approach that door with no delay. Eventually, the door starts opening slowly. As the massive doors open, it reveals a glimpse of what lies beyond. And that right there is how you get to the human limit, level -1000 of the Backrooms. So as you just heard from that insane short story, the Tower of Babel might actually be the one from real life stuck here in the Backrooms, and it is now this glitchy, warped, old version of its former self that doesn't even actually exist in reality. It's kind of warping in between. But in order to get to the human limits, level -1000, which I've also gone over here, you have to go through this level to get there. These mind-bending effects, this entire worldview change, these glitches, these warps, you have to make it through all of that to get to level -1000. And many people don't. This is where many people meet their fate in the Backrooms. Like I said, there are no entrances, there are no exits. It is just the Tower of Babel, level -999. And if you make it there, you might just get a glimpse as to what is beyond.